Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the call for tonight. And had a little trouble getting in here, but I am now here, and we are about ready to get started. We're going to get started pretty much right away. And my goal is to get you out of here. Will in about 30 to 45 minutes. So that's always going to be my goal for this call. And so that you will be able to have the rest of your evening tonight. So if you have questions, always feel free to give me a call. Not give me a call. Always feel free to kind of put your questions right here in the box, and then I will try to answer the questions. What I want to try to do is to kind of get through some of my repair remarks. Then I'll leave the end for questions and answers, and then once I do that, then if you want to go after I finish the preparation, you can certainly feel free to leave then. Okay, so we'll get to the end. We'll leave that to the end for personal questions or questions related to the content, and then, like I said, if you want to cut out after that point, we can. All right, now what we want to do here tonight, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pull up my my presentation here, and let's see. All right, so this is session one of our traffic training, and what I want to do tonight is I want to go through a few orientation, a little orientation here tonight, kind of a basic orientation, and in that basic orientation, I want to kind of get you warmed up in terms of being able to talk about traffic. I know that in particular, you might be looking for traffic to a particular digital product, and what I'm going to be sharing with you throughout this course is really going to be designed to get traffic regardless of what your niche is, what your market is, right? And so this does not depend on you being in the make money online niche, although this certainly will help you and work in the make money online niche. Now, again, if you have questions, feel free to write it right there in the box. What I'm going to be doing throughout my presentation tonight, I'm going to be asking you just to make sure that we're clear. I might ask you to put a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a number in the question box if you'd be so kind as to make sure that I'm clear and that you can hear me when I ask you to do that. If you could just kind of put an indication here that, yeah, I understand, Charles, you're making sense, and then we'll keep going. All right, fair. So let's kind of go through a basic orientation tonight. And one of the things that in that basic orientation that I will always say when it comes to traffic, you really do have to decide on what your goal is for your online business, because, and it has been my experience, my personal experience, that you will tend to kind of move toward a particular goal. And if you don't really have a particular goal, something specific, you probably will drift in terms of traffic, because the traffic really is a kind of a byproduct of what you're trying to do in terms of getting to a number or getting to a specific result in your business. So one of the things is that even if you decide to change the goal, if you don't have a specific dollar amount, if you don't have a specific goal that you're trying to accomplish, just get one now in your head. Write it down, right? That's really the most important thing that you're going to want to do, is get that goal written down, get it in your brain, get it on your monitor, get it on your desk, get it into your journal, get down a specific goal. What are you trying to accomplish? Are you just trying to accomplish, just maybe a car payment, right? You're trying to earn an extra $500 a month. Are you trying to earn enough money so that you will be able to quit your job, right? So write down that goal, get it down into a number, right? And again, your brain needs that to focus on, because once you understand what the number is, you'll start getting the traffic that's going to be necessary in order to get that number. And each one of you, depending on what your market is, when you actually start getting some numbers, you actually start getting people onto your list, you're going to start being able to calculate how much it's going to take. If it takes you, let's say 100 opt-ins to earn $100, then you're going to know what it is that you need to do in order to accomplish your goal, right? And so probably right here at the outset, right? Get your goal down, written down. Okay. Somebody says 1,000 weekly. That's excellent. Scott says 5,000 monthly. That's excellent. Get it down into a number and make it specific. Write it down. And then, if you can, if you have somebody who's supporting you in your business, so you have a spouse, you have a kid, or you have a parent, they're being supportive of you. Go ahead and let them in on what that goal is. Now, if you have people in your life and they're not really supporting you in what you're trying to do, they don't really understand what you're doing, then you want to then start thinking about maybe not necessarily telling them specifics, but the person who's saying, you know what, I'm kind of here for you. I want to know what it is you're doing. Then you have to get specific about the number, right? Okay, so that's that's in terms of your goal, in terms of getting traffic. How do you want to reach your goal? Do you want to do that by doing affiliate marketing, right? So even if you want to do lots of stuff, right? I want to create my own products. I want to do affiliate marketing. Start with one area, right? Start with one area. What do you want to do? If you want to be an affiliate, and you want to earn a specific amount, you want to write Kindle books and you want to earn a specific amount, how do you want to reach that goal? That is going to determine how you're going to get the traffic. That's going to determine how you're going to drive people to your offers. That's going to determine how you're going to get people to your products and your services. How do you want to reach your goal? Do you want to sell products? Do you want to sell master resale right products? Do you want to sell PLR products? It really doesn't matter. You need to start thinking about, how do you want to reach your goal? Do you want to reach your goal by being a public speaker? Do you want to reach your goal by being a social media coach? Do you want to reach your goal by being an offline consultant? Start by determining how you want to reach your goal. And it might be that in order to reach your number, you might only want to reach part of your number by doing the one thing you want to do first. You got to sort of master one thing and kind of get it down and start getting it working before you can start reaching into some other markets. Am I making sense so far? Okay, if I'm making sense so far and you see the connection to the traffic, I want you to put the number 1 in the question box. I'm going to move on. Now get more specific. Who do you want to sell to? Right? Who do you want to sell to? Do you want to sell to small business owners? Do you want to sell to people who want to make money online? Do you want to sell to people who want to lose weight? Do you want to sell to people who want to save money? Do you want to sell to people who want to get a mortgage? Do you want to sell? So start thinking about who you want to sell to, because that's going to matter in terms of determining how much traffic it's going to get and how you're going to reach your goal, right? So start thinking about who you want to sell to. You don't want to sell everything to everybody, because that's not going to get you to your goal, and it's not going to be specific enough, and it's not going to give you the focus in order to get there. Start thinking about who you want to sell to now. And then once you figure out what market you're going to be in, you are start want to think in terms of, can I niche this down? What niche do I want to be in? So for example, if I want to start selling to people who want to make more money online, I want to start selling to people who want to write their own books, or I want to start selling to people who want to become CPA marketers, or I want to start selling to people who want to be affiliate marketers, or I want to start selling to people who want to learn to write their own copy. Start determining what niche you want to be in, right? And so when you start thinking about what niche you want to be in and who you want to sell to, it's going to start determining some of the stuff you do. And we're going to be talking about that here tonight. Again, basic orientation tonight, basic orientation to thinking about traffic. The other thing now, when we start thinking about trying to get traffic to a particular offer, is this. Here's what I want you to start thinking about. I want you to start thinking about trying to start. Now, this is not going to be possible for everybody, but it's going to be possible for some of you. Try to start with an area where you already have a head start, where you already have a competitive, sustainable advantage. You want to start there. And the reason is because you want to start in an area where it's going to be easy for you to get some successes. Does that make sense? If that makes sense to you, that you want to start with in an area where it's going to be easier than other people to get some success, please put the number 2 in the question box. Try to start in an area where you have a competitive, sustainable advantage, right? I know my competitive, sustainable advantage. I already know that, right? Now, I didn't know that out front. And one of the things I did when I first started, and I'll tell you this, is I tried to do everything. Right? I tried to learn everything. I tried to do everything. I bought every product. I bought every service, and I was all over the place. Now, you know what? You should probably be doing everything you can to get all the tools, to get all the education that you can, but you need to be doing that in an area where you've already got some leg room. You've already started working in that area. You've already got some knowledge in that area. You're smarter than I am in that area. Start asking yourself, where are you smarter? Where are you more competent? Where do you have more connections? Where do you already have a head start? Right? That's really going to give you, I think, right, in my experience, a head start, and it's going to help you in terms of being able to get sales faster than you might get them elsewhere. Now, you know, if you don't know how to sell and you've never been out on the street, now I'm not saying that you can't be an offline consultant, a local marketer, but if you don't know how to cold call and you don't know how to close, then you know what, you're going to be at a disadvantage to people who already know how to do. Right? You're gonna be at that disadvantage. So you want to be in an advantage. You want to be in an area where you have a sustainable competitive advantage. Now, what you need to start doing, regardless of what, now you might have zero traffic. Your list might not be, you might not have a list at all. Right? How many of you would you say that's true of you? And if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. You don't really have a list yet. You don't really have any customers yet. And here's what I'm going to say to you if that's you. Start giving them value. You might say, well, I don't have anybody to give value to. Start anyway. So you want to start thinking about giving people value. What do I mean by that? How many of you all already have a hard drive full of, and a lot of you, I know you already have, you have at least 100 master resale rights and PLR products. I know you have them. So if you already have that content and you can download it and put it on your hard drive, do not just download it and put it on your hard drive and start letting it collect digital dust. Start teaching it, right? Start teaching it. Now you might say, now I'm not that great of a teacher, Charles. I'm not that great of a presenter. Teach it anyway, right? Start giving people value. The people are not going to be attracted to you until you start giving them a reason to come to you. And so it's really going to be, now this is a case where you've got to put the egg before the chicken. And the egg is start teaching. Start giving people value. You got to put the egg there before the chicken comes. And the egg is really you taking some of that content that you have, learning it good enough, well enough, my English teacher says, and start teaching. You have to start teaching. And again, when I say teaching, that doesn't mean that you have to stand up and you have to do what I do. There are a lot of ways for you to teach the content. Lots of ways, right? You might be good at doing interviews. You might be good at writing. You might be good at audio. You might be good at radio or video. It doesn't really matter. Start giving people value. How many of you all have products right now? And everybody on this call, I pretty much know you do, right? How many of you all on this call have products on copywriting? Right? A lot of you already have the products. So really what you want to do, even as you start to do things, right? Even as you start to do things, start giving people value. And you might say, look, Charles, I haven't done any of this stuff. That's not going to stop you from giving people value. It's not going to stop you. Start giving people, the people in your circle. You might say, now, you know, I've only got 5 Facebook friends. That's fine. Start giving them value. You might say, I've only got 3 connections on LinkedIn. That's fine. Start giving them value. You might say, now I did an offline seminar. I only had 1 person to come to it. That's fine. Start giving that 1 person value. Just as an aside, you know what, my first offline seminar, right? I wasn't doing consulting. I was just doing an offline internet marketing class. And I had one guy to come, he paid $9.97. That made my day. So you don't have to have a lot of customers. What you have to do is start giving people value. And let me just kind of say another thing about that. The reason that came about wasn't because I was a genius. It was because I was at a networking meeting and I got 2 times every 2 months in order to teach. So they gave me 10 minutes on the floor in order to teach internet marketing. And so I took my 10 minutes. I taught internet marketing. When I had a seminar, one of the guys who came to that meeting every time, he said, man, I got to come to your thing. I said, well, it's going to be $9.97. He came and he would have brought 2 friends if I'd have let him. So it's really not even a matter of having a big number of customers. It really starts with your giving people value, right? Start giving people in your world value. Now, and you have the content. How many of you all know what I mean when I say you have the content, right? You have the content. You already have it. You can learn something. Tonight, gather up all the content in one area and learn it and start teaching it. You can start teaching by blog. Right? If you are a writer, start blogging. You can get a free blog at blogger.com, wordpress.com, right? Start blogging. And listen, you don't have to get fancy. You don't have to have a fancy WordPress and all the, you don't have to have all that stuff. What you got to start doing is start giving people value. I'm talking about how you're going to attract people into your marketing funnel. And what happens is, here's what happens. I'll tell you what happens. And it happened to me. When you actually start getting people paying attention to you and really listen to me, and you don't have anything going on, what happens is people hear something you say, and then they go to Google and they start looking for some of your other stuff, right? They start looking for some of your other stuff. And so, that guy's got a blog and he's got some video and he's got some audio out there. But if they don't see anything, right? They don't see anything. How many of you all, when you hear somebody's name, you go and Google them, right? How many of you all go look up and see if that person has anything else out there? Do you? I know I do. If you actually have Googled somebody when you see them for the first time, put the number 3 in the question box, right? Put the number 3 in the question box. If you've come across somebody and you thought, boy, they're interesting, and then you went to Google them. If that's something you've done, put the number 3 in the question box. I know you do. Right. And so what you have to start thinking about is you got to be that person. Right. You've got to be that person. So can I ask you a question? And this is a question that you have to ask yourself. Right. I want you to ask yourself this question. If you were to Google you, right, if you didn't know you and you Googled you, what would you think of you? Right? If you didn't know you and you Googled you, right, about internet marketing or about your niche, what would you say about you? That's an important question to answer. So it doesn't matter what you do. If you don't like doing video, don't do video. If you don't like doing audio, don't do audio. Just do something. Start blogging. Blog Talk Radio is free. As last I checked. Might not be today, but it's free now. And you can start doing a Blog Talk Radio show for, pennies on the dollar. Nothing. I think it costs nothing to do a 30-minute show. Start doing something, right? Start giving people value on a regular basis. Now, see, here's the key. How many of you all have seen people on your social media and they're just putting their offers and their links out there and they haven't given anybody anything? Right? They're just kind of sharing stuff, but they haven't done anything, right? When you have a blog and you have some audio and you have some video, you have something to share, right? You have something to share. Before you start getting on social media trying to sell stuff or trying to position yourself as an expert, start helping people first. Then you have something to share. Get a blog going. Get your video channel going. Get your audio. Start teaching. Get on some Google Hangouts. Start teaching. You need to be sharing what you are showing people how to do. Start sharing some of the love. When you start sharing the love you have for people, right, the teaching you're doing, some of the stuff you're learning, guess what? People are going to start sharing that with their friends. Now you might say, now, Charles, I put my stuff on social media and I never got one like. You know what? It takes more than that. It takes more than that. It might take 10, 20, 30 posts before somebody starts sharing your stuff and liking your stuff. So what? So what? If it takes you a month, right? If it takes you a month before somebody starts sharing your stuff, so what? So what? It took a month. So what if it took 2 months? Listen, the number one thing you've got to do is start providing that value on a regular basis. And here's what happens. I'm going to tell you what happens. So how many of y'all have come across a blog or a podcast, right? And it starts out, it's got 3 episodes on it, right? And those 3 episodes started in 2014. Then, you know, they had a big audience. And then someplace around 2014, the next one didn't come for 6 months later. And then the next month after that didn't come for 8 months later. And before you know it, they just faded out of existence. And so what happens is you got, in order to be someplace, you got to start someplace. And so in order to do that, it takes some consistency with your content. So in other words, start giving your customers value. If you want to start writing books, right? You want to start writing some Kindle books, start writing Kindle books. It doesn't really matter which one. Start doing something. Now, okay, now once you have something, when you have a blog or that you're doing regularly, you have a video channel that you're doing regularly, or you have a podcast, or you have a radio show, or you have some Kindle books. You now have something to start sharing on social media before you start asking people for something. Right? If somebody's always got their hand out, and I don't know about you, I just start ignoring them. Right? I just start ignoring them. So what you've got to start doing is start helping people, start teaching people, and giving people some value. If you don't really know one subject well enough, grab some of that digital stuff you have on your, listen. Probably one of the greatest assets that you're going to ever have in your business. And most people don't understand it. And if they understood it, they do more with it. Right? If you understood, most people don't understand the real value of PLR and master resale rights. If you understood it, you'd use it. Most people think, well, that's a product for me to sell. That's part of it. That's probably the least of the value of it. That's the least of the value of it. The real value of it is that somebody else put down a structured understanding of a subject, and all you got to do is teach it. Right? All you got to do is teach it and share it. And listen, I'm not saying that you get on a video and start reading a private label rights book. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying learn it and start teaching it. And if you start doing that, listen, you'll be surprised at when you start sharing what you know on social media. Listen, you want to start talking about traffic? Listen, people will then start to understand that you are here to stay, and they can learn something from you. And until you and I start doing it on a regular basis, people don't know whether or not they can trust you enough, and they don't know whether or not they can count on you. And so when people know, okay, you know what, this guy's going to be there, I'm going to check his thing out next week. And if you're not there next week because you gave up, because you know what, this sucks, nobody comes to my thing. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. And I say this in all sincerity. In 2008, 2009, I would average 2 people on a webinar, right? I would average 2 people on a webinar. And I tell you something, it did some real damage in terms of my whether or not this is worth doing or not. But you know what? You have to keep doing it. The things that I stopped doing are the things I regret the most, right? The things I stopped doing. I started doing a local radio show, and you know what? It just got to be too much. And to this day, it is one of the things I regret stopping doing, because here's what it takes. You have to keep doing it over and over and over and over again. You already, if you have private label rights and you have master resale rights, you already have the ability to teach. If you understand what I'm saying, I want you to put the number 4 in the question box. If you already have, if you have access to right now on your hard drive, you already have it. You have it right now. You have the ability to start sharing things with people that will help them and attract them to you. Right? If you understand what I'm saying, put the number 4 in the question box. And if you understand it, you've got to start doing it. Right? And this is before we start talking about traffic. People will come attracted to you when you start doing something and then sharing the love. Right? Start sharing the love. You already have it. You have it. And so here now, let me be real with you for a second also. I'm not saying that you can't get some you can't have like a method, right? That a super sneaky method that works for everybody or that works for some people, and that you're not going to find a loophole. A lot of the loopholes that you find on the Warrior Forum and on JVZoo, they do work. The problem with them is that just as fast as they come, sometimes they go away. And if you don't get the part that I'm telling you to do right now, you're vulnerable in terms of how the method that you learn works, and you will eventually have to start all over and learn a new method. And most of us, now to a person, even when they're making money on internet marketing, what happens is they learn some kind of new method that's a loophole, and then when that loophole stops working, they got to go learn a new method. What I'm telling you right now, that's on this slide right now, this is going to work in 10 years from now, right? How many of you all see this, that what I'm sharing with you is always going to work? Because it always has worked. So it's going to work in the future. And listen to me carefully. If you cheat this, now again, I'm not saying that you can't start marketing some affiliate products in order to get some cash coming in. I'm all for that. I'm all about that, right? You got to do that sometimes. But if you try to cheat this process, I guarantee you will be setting yourself backwards in terms of getting traffic to your offers. You can't cheat this process. So even while you're trying to get some cash and make some sales, you have to be doing this. You got to be doing this. You have to start giving people value and start sharing that value everywhere you go. Start sharing your value on social media. Start sharing it out value offline. Right? Start sharing with the people in your world. Now, why do I say start sharing it offline? Listen. Some of the most valuable opportunities are going to come when people understand what it is you know and what it is you can do. See, when you're online and you hang around internet marketers, you're not that special, right? You're just like everybody else when you hang around other internet marketers. Everybody knows what you know. I dare you, right? I dare you. The next time you're in mixed company and you're with people who don't know about that they can publish a book on Kindle, who don't know that they can do affiliate marketing, who don't know how to create an information product, I dare you to start sharing with people what you know and what you learn on these calls and what you learn in these products. I dare you to start sharing with people in your world. Here's what's going to happen. Some people are going to come to you and say, well, you know what? Can I pay you for that? Or can you show me how to do that? You'll be surprised at how easy it's going to be when you get paid, when you start sharing the value that you have with people in your world. I know you think people don't want to know. It isn't that they don't want to know what you have. It's just that they don't understand it. Take the time to share with them what you know, right? Traffic, all traffic is, folks, is getting people to see what it is you have to offer. Right? They'll go home and Google you. That's exactly right. Right? Start sharing the love. Okay, I want to go over a few traffic basics, right? Traffic basics, right? Traffic basics traffic and marketing basics. And these are things that I've shared before, but not everyone, not all of you have heard them before, but I want you to understand them because they're important, and they're going to be important for the rest of what it is that we're doing right now. Now I've got an entire course that goes over this, so I can't get in depth into this, but you need to understand these things in terms of anything you have to offer, right? Anything you have to offer, any product you have, even if it's master resale rights or PLR rights, you need to have a unique selling proposition. In other words, it needs to be unique. It needs to be something that somebody cannot get anyplace else. You might say, well, Charles, if I'm marketing a master resale rights product, how can I have a USP? Easy, right? Easy. You make a PLR product unique when you offer a specific bonus. You make a PLR product unique when it has a specific scarcity. You make a PLR product unique when it has specific case studies. You make a PLR product unique when it has a specific upsell. You make a PLR product unique when it has a funnel to go with it. So in other words, you've got to have something about the product you're offering. I don't care if it's an affiliate product. I don't care if it's a CPA offer. I don't care what it is. If you're talking about a Kindle book and all you're doing is giving people the book, that's not unique. Right? It's not enough that your book is different. You've got to give some people something different, a different level of value than everybody else is getting. USP, right? Unique selling proposition. Find a way, right? Find a way to give something to somebody that they cannot get from anybody else from you. And I'm not just talking about, guys, I'm not just talking about a unique kind of information. Now, I know that's tempting to think, well, you know what? My subject is unique. That's cool. But you need to have something about what your product delivers. You need to have something about what your book delivers. You need to have something about what your podcast delivers. Whatever it is, something unique that I cannot get elsewhere. Right? If you understand what I mean by USP, unique selling proposition, put the number 5 in the question box. Right? No, I'm not. And again, understand something. It's fine that you have a unique subject matter. That's fine. But you need to have something I can't get from someplace else. I can only get this from you. Just because all you have is a master resale rights product doesn't mean that you are exempt from offering a USP. Right? Doesn't exempt you from that. Now, I just talked about this, but you got to have something that comes behind that. If you got me to buy from you, if you get me from, guess what, folks? The easiest traffic in the world to get is from somebody who already bought from you. The easiest time to get it is when they're buying it. And that's what an upsell or a cross-sell is. I'm not going to go into that, but that's traffic. Okay, quote unquote, the money is in the list. The money's in the relationship with the list. I don't have to go through this with you all. You all internet marketers, you all already know this. Right? You got to have a list, and you got to build a list. Right? How do you build a list? By any means necessary. By whatever you have to do to get people on the list and giving them value. Fourth, alliances. Joint ventures and partnerships. Joint ventures and partnerships. I will tell you that for the first 5 years in my internet marketing, for the first 3 years, I did not partner because I didn't think you were supposed to. Once I partnered is when I actually started seeing money, right, that started paying mortgage bills. Right before that, I was scratching. I'm going to tell you, scratching. But until I actually started partnering with people is when I actually start seeing the kind of money that started paying bills and started me and kept me from hiding from Mrs. Harper. Right? And so for some of you, I'll tell you, if you're trying to go it alone, you might be missing an opportunity. You might be. Right? As soon as you partner with somebody out here on this call has your missing link. And I have been talking up going, and I know, listen, I know, I've been saying to you that you want to go to some of these events, you want to go to a JV conference or the JV Zoo conference. And I know not everybody can go to those things. I understand that. Um, but if you can get there, right? If you can get to one of these things, I'm not saying you got to go to all of them, and that you got to, or you got to take a selfie on social media to say you've been there. That's not really the idea. I'm saying that going to some of these places is going to make it easier for you to meet somebody who is going to be your missing link, for you to talk to them. It's hard to do online. It's not impossible, but it's a lot easier to do when you get to one of those things. And so if you're going to take if you're going to take days off and you're going to take a vacation anyway this year, I would highly suggest that you pick a conference and go to it. I don't care which one. Russell Brunson's, Traffic and Conversions, JV Zoo, go to one. Meet some people and see who wants to partner. Now, paid advertising. All right. Now, again, we're going to talk about a little bit of that in this course. We're going to talk about Facebook and YouTube and Gmail and all these other ways for you to use paid advertising. That's a way to get traffic. And it's actually now cheaper than it's ever been. It's easier now than it's ever been and more targeted now than it's ever been. So paid advertising is just something that you and I, once we learn it, will work for us. Now, paid advertising is typically one of those things that you want to do once you understand. Listen carefully to me now. Listen carefully. If you don't have a USP, you don't have upsells and cross-sells in place, you don't have a database, you're not building one, and you don't have anybody to kind of help you when the traffic starts coming, paid advertising may or may not be the point where you and I are at if we don't have those other things in place. Right? So again, I'm talking about traffic, and I know you might be anxious. Well, I want to learn how to do Facebook ads. I think that's cool, right? But again, if you cheat this process, if you cheat it, if anything happens, you're going to have to go back and start from the beginning. Right? Paid advertising, public relations. And, you know, these days, you know what public relations is not? Public relations is actually getting real press from real traffic from somebody in the press. Right. And I realize that, you know, it's a kind of a popular thing for people to put in their profile area that, hey, you know, I was seen on CNN, I was seen on ABC, and that gives you extra credibility to be able to put that on your thing. Maybe. Right. I don't know that. It might be. It might do that for you. What will actually give you traffic will be real press. Right. When a reporter really comes to talk to you. When the press really wants to see what it is you're doing, you'll get real traffic. So again, I don't know that having those things in your profile, if it does it for you, it might, and maybe it's working for you. I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm saying that real public relations will. Right now, community marketing and education. Now, I just talked about a little bit about being offline. You know, most of the people in your local area, someplace in your community, they would value what you know, right? They would value what you know. I can tell you that right now. A nonprofit probably doesn't know how to do a mailing list, right? Why don't you go teach them? Your local school, your church probably doesn't have an autoresponder. Why don't you go and show them how to get one? Right. And again, you're not going to get paid from this, but here's what this does. It brands you, right? It's branding. It's branding. You and I don't have to have the budget of Coke in order to brand our business. You know what branding is? Let me tell you what branding is. Branding is when people see your name or your company, they get good feelings inside. They get warm feelings inside, or they think about you. They think about you on times other than when you're asking to buy something. And one of the best ways to do that is to be a giver, right? To be a giver. You should be getting cheated in life, right? You should be getting cheated in life by giving more than you get. And the truth of the matter is this: when you're just out giving, and you can do some of this online too. There are some communities and there's some places online that you can just be a giver. Be a giver and just be and listen. Just find a way to be about that, right? You just and there are so many areas, right, in which you can just be about giving to other people, not because you're going to get something else in return, but just because it's good for them. Now, here's the flip side of that. Now, here's where you do get paid back. Educate. Start educating. Now, I just talked about that a bit ago when I was talking about that, but it is one of the ways that you do marketing, right? Educate people. Now, when you're educating, yes, you're selling. But when you educate people, so how many of you all know, truth be told, that you're not all of your prospects are not smart enough to buy from you yet, right? All your prospects don't know enough to buy from you. You got to bring them up to the 3-point line. You got to bring them all the way up to the 3-point line before they can take a shot. And if you don't bring them up to the 3-point line, then all your words are just going over their head. They think you're smart. They think you're nice. Wow, that guy really knows a lot, but they're not ready to buy from you. You got to start educating, right? That's traffic. When you start educating people and you bring them up, they say, oh, that's what that means. You mean that's what that Facebook stuff does? Well, man, do you have it? Listen, start educating people, and you are then going to, and again, I'm not saying you're not going to get paid for all the webinars you do, right? You're not going to get paid for all the podcasts you do. You're not going to get paid, but here's the thing. People will then start to trust that, number one, you know what you're talking about. And again, if you already have digital products on your hard drive, you don't even have to go out and get the knowledge. It's already on your hard drive. You just got to get it in the form so that you can start getting it into the heads of some of the people, and you got to bring them up to the point where they can be smart enough to buy from you. Okay, educate. Direct marketing. This is not going to be for everybody. It's not going to be for everybody, but I'll tell you what, though, it's effective. It is effective. Until I think it was last year, right? Last year, I got a postcard in the mail from an internet marketer on JVZoo. And you know what, to be quite honest, I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I ended up buying from the guy that never bought from him before. And so being able to get to people directly, right, where there's no noise. Now, I say that's not for everybody. It's not going to work in every market, but in some cases, it stands to reason that if you can market direct to people, right? There's a gentleman who does infomercials, right? And what he said was, you'd be surprised at how little an infomercial costs and how much traffic it brought me, right? And how much it built my list. And it was direct marketing, one-to-one, right? Now, understand something. Internet SEO and social media is only one part of all the traffic you can get. Does everybody see that? If you understand now that SEO and social media is only one part of your marketing, how many of you all understand that now? Now that you see that. If you understand what I mean now by saying to you that SEO and social media is only one part of your marketing, put the number 8 in the question box. It's only one way. It's only one way. It's only one way. Now, that doesn't mean then that you can that you can get around it, but what it does mean is that you got a lot of ways to get to your customer. There are a lot of ways for you to get traffic. There are a lot of ways for you to get people to buy from you. There are a lot of ways for you to build your list. And just because, your Facebook ads aren't working, or you posted something on Facebook and it didn't bring you nobody, right? And nobody seems interested. That's all that means is that you might need to work a little harder. There are so many ways, folks, to get traffic. So many ways to get traffic that we don't need to fret when one isn't working. Now, information marketing, books and courses, and products. Now, this is probably my favorite, right? This is probably my favorite. And here's why I say that. And you might say now, well, all I want to do is sell master resale rights. I don't want to create any courses. I don't want to write any Kindle books. I don't want to create any products and have to deal with customer service. Probably the fastest way you're going to get people to trust you and you're going to build a list is to create an information product, a book or a course, and sell it, right? And sell it. You get a list by default. And if I had to do any one thing over again, right? If I had to do any one thing over again, I'll tell you this quite honestly, and I'm being really seriously for real with you right now, I would create products first, right? That I would do that first. I would take something that I knew and that I could do. If I had to do anything over again, if I had to go back to 2008, actually November 2007 when I got started, if I could go back to November of 2007 when I first got started, what I would do is to create a product and sell it. If I could go back in time. And so I tell you that I know that a number of you want to start getting traffic. You have products you want to sell. You need to start making money. And again, affiliate marketing is fantastic. I know what you feel like. How many of you all have already gotten an affiliate commission? And you're starting to feel like, man, you know what? When you first get an affiliate commission, you start to feel like, man, this is like Christmas. This is like magic. I cannot believe what this feels like. When I got my first affiliate commission, I couldn't believe what it felt like. I felt like I was on top of the world. And it's true. And you know what? It can be addictive, right? It can be addictive in internet marketing that you start to feel like, oh my goodness, do you mean all this happened on the internet and somebody paid me and put money in my PayPal account and I didn't even produce anything, right? It's addictive. And what I'll tell you is this: in order to maintain that, right, in order to have people coming back to you, you still have to establish trust. You cannot cheat this process. And so all of the big affiliates, right, you name me for every one affiliate that does not sell information products at all, I'll name you 10 that do. Even the people that teach affiliate marketing and do affiliate marketing and do a good job of it, they all have their own products. All these guys who have humongous lists that you and I are on, right? All of us, they have their own product. And there is not going to be any way you can get around that. If you want to have a ginormous list, a huge list, the easiest way to get traffic is to create your own product. Now, here's what somebody's going to say. Well, Charles, what if nobody buys my product? If you hang around long enough, you're going to figure out what people want. And you hang around long enough and you stay at it, you figure out what people want and you learn how to listen. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to wait one set, you're going to create a product and 3 people are going to buy it. Right? And then you're going to create a second product and then 2 of those 3 people are going to buy it and then another 2 new people are going to buy it. You're going to have 5 sales in that next product. And you're going to start thinking, you know what, this might start working. You're going to create a third product based on what they told you. And then 3 of those people are going to buy it. And then 4 new people are going to buy it. You're going to have 7 new buyers. And so this is going to be the way that some of you are going to be able to build a list. If you don't think you know enough, if I sat down with you long enough, I guarantee you I could figure out something you know, right? Something you know that somebody else does not, right? That's just where the world is right now. You know right now something that somebody else has, or listen to me carefully. Some of you all have done things that other people want to know and haven't done. Let me ask you a question. Let me just, how many of you all in your lifetime, you got a job by doing something that somebody else didn't do, right? You did something. You got some job that you got it by doing something that somebody else didn't do. You didn't do the straight up thing. You didn't send a resume. You didn't do the fill out an application. You did something that somebody else didn't do. How many of you all had that experience? Right? I know a number of you have. I know a number of you have, because everybody does that, right? Nobody goes and submits an application and sends a resume in and waits for people to call them back. And listen, there right in and of itself is an information product waiting to happen. Right? It's an information product waiting to happen. Tell me about this. If I were to tell if you were looking for a job and you saw a book or you saw a sales page that said how I got a position, right? Higher, with a higher salary than I ever anticipated without ever sending a resume. Would you start reading that sales page? I bet you would. And this is what I'm talking about, folks. You already have something that you've done that you have a competitive advantage in. You don't have to come over into the make money online niche. Sometimes you can get started in something that somebody wants to know something in that you already have the knowledge in. Okay, so information marketing is one way to get traffic. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. I just listed about 10 things. Master one of them. Right? Master one of them. Master one way of getting traffic, regardless of what your market or niche is. Master one of them. Master one of them. Right? You don't have to know all of them. Master one of them. Right? Once you master one of them, you can move on to the next method. Learn how to do one of these ways to get traffic. Like, learn one of them. Okay, now here's the $50,000 word that maybe some of you might not have been anticipating, and then we're going to close out on this. Now, in order to make this work on the internet, right now, this is where we're going to start to move from sort of the academic and the theoretical down into some specifics. Right, we're going to start getting into a little meat here right at the end of the call. Okay, now you're going to have to know a little direct response if you're going to make some money with this, right? You're going to have to learn this. Now, everybody here has to learn it, or you got to pay somebody. And until you can start paying a copywriter or a direct response guy $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 at a pop, you got to learn it. And even if you pay somebody, if you don't know what good copy or bad copy is, then paying somebody $5,000 is not going to be a good move, right? Seriously, you and I have to learn direct response marketing. That's how it gets done. That's how the work gets done online. That's how you sell in print. That's how somebody comes to a sales page and makes a decision. How many of you know you can do a great job of marketing? You can get people on your list, and then you send them to a sales page, and if the sales page has no direct response, and you're just talking to them, and you just have words going in over their head, and you're not talking in their language, they don't buy, right? So I don't care who you are. I don't care how cool you are. We have to learn how to do direct response. We have to learn how. It's got to be done. Now listen, I guess I got off I'm doing this course with Eben Pagan right now, and he said something I thought it was really funny, that most of us think we live in this enlightened age where, you know, you don't have to sell anymore, Charles. You don't have to be a hard, you don't have to put the hard sell on people. You don't have to sell. Well, listen, um, I used to believe that you know, I'm just gonna be I'm, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna ask anybody for money. They're just gonna automatically, they're just gonna love me, and whenever I just say, hey, it's out here for you, they're just gonna go get it. Uh, um, what I'll tell you is that that did not leave Mrs. Harper too happy because it didn't work. Okay, and so direct response is what we all have to learn. It is a reality of selling online. I don't care what you're marketing. I don't care who you are. You have to learn direct response. Now, I'm not saying you have to do it. You have to do it with a hard sell, but you got to know how it works, because direct response is based on human psychology. It's based on how we're wired, right? It's based on how we're wired. There is a, and not, you know, not everybody here is not a, everybody here is not a Christian, or you're not religious, but there is a verse written by King Solomon that says, let another man praise you and not your own lips, right? Let another man praise you and not your own lips. And the reason why that's so powerful is because that really is what drives direct response, social proof. When somebody else says you're cool and you got it going on, guess what? That gives credibility to your entire sales letter. That's why testimonials are so important. That's why proof is so important. And up and down, direct response are lifelong. Listen, direct response is nothing but the principles and foundational principles of persuasion that have been in the earth since the beginning of time. And that's what I'll tell you. Before I even get to it, direct response principles have been in the foundation of the earth since the beginning of time. And you will see that when I go over this. Now, here's what we're going to talk about, direct response. And then we're going to close out on this. Now, the more of these you have in your selling process, the better. So if you're gonna be marketing a PLR product, if you're gonna be marketing your own product, the more of these you have in your selling process, the better you're gonna be. Number one, you got to get people's attention. If you don't get their attention, then they're never even going to read your sales letter. I don't care how cool you are. How many of you know that people have more than people have a lot of stuff going on in their life? They got their kids driving them crazy. They've got a spouse at home. They've got aging parents at home. They've got work pressure. They've got leaky plumbing. They got all kinds of things, and you're going to just try to send them something and bore them to death. It's not going to work. You got to get their attention. That's what a headline is. And however you do it, even if you're doing a video sales letter, the very first thing you say has to get their attention. Then you got to empathize, right? You got to empathize. You got to tell listen, your sales letter, someplace in there, your customer needs to say, you know what? He gets me. He understands me. He just told that story. That is exactly where I am. How many of you all have had a sales letter that did that for you? How many of you all, when you read the sales letter, you thought, wow, that's me. How did he know that? How did she know that? Right now, again, you're not going to be able to do all these things perfectly. Even a copywriter is not going to be able to do all these things perfectly, but you got to have as many of these things in the selling process as possible if you're going to make your traffic work, right? Empathy, humor, right? Telling a story, right? Getting people involved. Now, then you agitate and solve the problem. What's the solution? Well, the solution is your product. Proof and credentials, right? Proof and credentials. In other words, I have scientific proof that this kind of thing works. I have the credentials that say it works. You talking to them about benefits. Now, again, I don't have time to go all these into depth, and I may not be able to get to these through the traffic training, but we'll figure out how to get to this. social proof, testimonials, call to action, make an offer, give them a guarantee, put some scarcity in there, call them to action again, give them the warning, remind them, and then remind them, right? All of these things need to be part of your direct response. Now, here's what I want you to do. Here's your homework. Here's your homework. Here's your homework. Between now and the next training, I'm not really sure it's going to be. I want you to watch an infomercial, right? I want you to just find an infomercial and just watch it. If you can find one online, that's fine. Find an infomercial. And I want you to look for these things so that you can see that each one of these things are part of the selling process. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that it's a hard sell or a heavy sell, but it's part of human persuasion. The more of these elements that you have, the better. Now, this is what's going to make your traffic work. And this is what's going to put people onto your list. And this is what's going to keep people inside of your products. Now, again, as we get into specific methods, this is where we start getting into where I think the rubber meets the road, right? This is where we start getting into some specifics, because even if you're doing your own product and you don't have all these elements, it's unlikely that you're going to convert the traffic that you get. If you have 5 visitors to your website and you convert 3 of them, right? You convert 3 of them. And then you have, in another case, you have 15 visitors to your site and you convert 3 of them because you don't have all the elements of direct response, then the result is the same. So traffic is not the whole ball of wax. Some of the ball of wax is making sure that you have the right elements in order to bring them into your marketing funnel and bring them into a sale for you. And here, the last thing I'm going to say about this is this. Now, here's a secret for you right here. How many of you all have an opt-in page, but you don't have these elements in your opt-in page? Right? You don't have these elements in your opt-in page. You have to sell the opt-in. When you start, and again, this will make all the difference in the world in terms of you're getting opt-ins. Whenever you bring people to a landing page or an opt-in page, you're trying to build your list, you and I need to sell the opt-in. And when you sell the opt-in, what do you do? What does your script need to be? We don't need anybody to write a script for you. You need these principles inside of the script for your opt-in. The principles of direct response. You're trying to sell somebody on giving you their contact details. If you can sell them on giving you your contact details, they will give them to you, but you've got to convince them. And one of the ways in which you convince them is by having the principles of direct response. Okay, so that is our orientation, and we will pick this up now for the next training, and we'll start getting into some specifics. But this is something that you need to refer to over and over again. And what I'm going to say to you again is that your homework is this. I want you seriously to watch an infomercial. I want you seriously to watch an infomercial, and I want you to pick out where these elements fall in that infomercial. They're going to be there. You will find them in that infomercial. Then how many of you all, now, this might date you a little bit. Some of you all don't have cable. I really don't have cable. I'd have to go and do this. But if any of you all have the home shopping network on your television, right, on your cable or wherever it is you get television, you're on your dish or whatever it is, I want you to start watching for these elements. Start watching for these elements on Home Shopping Network. You will see them throughout the sales process, because I want you to start seeing that this is the way it happens when you sell in print. Okay, so any questions? Any questions? Okay, so if this is making sense to you, I want you to put the number 9 in the question box about direct response. If you understand about direct response, I want you to put the number 9 in the question box. And I want you really and seriously and truly to watch for it, go watch an infomercial and to go watch Home Shopping Network so you can see these elements at work. And sometimes you can even go and pick up a newspaper ad and you will see these elements at work. Now, I don't like the Inquirer and all those rags and newspapers. I don't like those things. But you know, when you're in the grocery store, you're in the grocery store, and you see those rags there, and there's an advertisement in there. You will see these elements in that. Oh yeah, okay. Don's got a great question. Can I recommend a good book about direct response? I can recommend 2 things. Number 1, I can recommend something even better than a book. I want to tell you about. I want you to just Google this: 12-step foolproof sales letter template, David Fry. It's what all internet marketers use. 12-step foolproof sales letter template by David Fry. That'd be much shorter than reading a book. There's an article that he wrote, I think, back in 2002. And the reason I want you to read that one that was written in 2002 is because it's now 2016, 14 years later. And you know why that's so important? Is because these principles are timeless. These principles are part of human nature, right? They're part, and if I had time, I'd explain it to you. That's one resource. The second resource will be my PLR product on copywriting. And it's not, I don't have it ready to be released yet, but it'll be ready. But you can start with this it still works. Exactly, Scott. It's probably always going to work. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Don. I appreciate your questions. Thank you, Dr. Faye. Cleta, thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions? Thank you, Sonia. Any other questions? Yeah, banner ads are and can be helpful, and banner ads typically work when you are in a place where you know the demographic. So, for example, banner ads, when you get banner ad traffic, typically you want to send that banner ad traffic to an opt-in page or a blog because you need to qualify that traffic. What we're going to be talking about here in the course is that you don't want to send people, in my opinion, straight to a sales page. If you send people straight to a sales page, you're going to have low conversions, and that's a poor. It's a difficult way to do traffic because you're going to need a lot of it, right? What you got to do somehow is to warm up the traffic, right? So you want to warm up the traffic, and you want to have it so that the traffic goes to that place. Yeah, you know, I'm going to do a tutorial on that. I saw a question from one of the support people, and I think I need to explain how that's done. I don't think I did a tutorial on that, but I will probably do the tutorial and I will send that out. I'll try to do it for tomorrow. Right there is a way to get it to work. It doesn't work right out of the box. There's a way, there's something that you've got to do in terms of putting the link there, and you've got to exchange the link. So the link has to be exchanged, and it has to be exchanged for a specific product. And I'll show you how to do that and to put it inside of a place where the HTML goes for the banner. But that's pretty much what has to happen, and I think I'll do the tutorial for that. So no worries about that. I'll take care of it. Great. I will put that out there for you. Thank you, Scott. Okay, any other questions? All right, well, thank you, Wanji. I appreciate that. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much for being here. And sorry I went a little long, but I was a little late. And so next time, what we will probably do is we will start with a specific method, start to finish, of creating an information product and how you can get traffic from it. And we will probably start with either we'll start with one information product method and getting traffic from it. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much for being here. Have a great night. Pleasant tomorrow. Take care.